Walgreens, the ubiquitous drugstore chain, recently announced it's shuttering 1,200 stores across the U.S. That's a lot of Walgreens drive-through signs coming down. This isn't just a minor inconvenience for folks who need to refill their blood pressure meds. It's a potential harbinger of a much larger problem, the emergence of pharmacy deserts. These are areas where access to pharmacies is severely limited, making it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for people to get the medications they need. Imagine having to drive for hours, take multiple buses, or walk miles just to pick up your prescription. For many Americans, particularly those in rural or low-income communities, this is quickly becoming a harsh reality. The Walgreens closures are a red flag, a sign that something is seriously amiss in the world of pharmacies. Buckle up, because we're about to dive deep into the reasons behind these closures and the potential fallout for everyday Americans. Let's talk about pharmacy deserts. These are places where getting your hands on essential medications feels like embarking on a desert trek. It sounds like something out of a dystopian novel where resources are scarce and survival is a daily struggle. But it's an increasingly common reality for many Americans. Imagine needing life-saving medication and finding the pharmacy doors locked. Pharmacy deserts are geographic areas where pharmacies are few and far between, leaving residents with limited access to essential medications. These areas are often marked by long distances to the nearest pharmacy, making it difficult for people to get the care they need. Picture this. You live in a rural town, miles from the nearest city. The landscape is vast and the roads are long and winding. The only pharmacy for miles around just closed its doors. Now you're left with no immediate options for getting your medication. Now getting your hands on your life-saving medication requires a day-long expedition. You might have to drive for hours, take multiple buses, or even walk long distances just to reach the nearest pharmacy. Pharmacy deserts disproportionately impact vulnerable populations: the elderly, people with disabilities, those without reliable transportation, and low-income communities. These are the folks who can least afford to travel long distances or pay exorbitant prices for their medications. These individuals often face additional challenges such as limited financial resources and mobility issues, making it even harder for them to access the medications they need to stay healthy. And let's be clear, pharmacy deserts aren't just a rural problem. They're popping up in urban areas too, especially in low-income neighborhoods where chain pharmacies are shutting down left and right. In cities, the closure of chain pharmacies leaves entire communities without easy access to medications. This is particularly troubling in low-income neighborhoods where residents may already face numerous barriers to health care. This creates a two-tiered healthcare system where access to essential medications is increasingly determined by zip code and income level. Wealthier areas continue to have ample access to pharmacies, while poorer neighborhoods are left in the lurch. The Walgreens closures are adding fuel to this already blazing fire. By shutting down stores, particularly in underserved areas, Walgreens is contributing to the growth of these pharmacy deserts. By shutting down stores, particularly in underserved areas, Walgreens is contributing to the growth of these pharmacy deserts, leaving countless Americans stranded in a healthcare wasteland. The impact is profound, affecting not just individual health, but the well-being of entire communities. So, why is Walgreens, a company that literally dispenses money in the form of nickels and dimes, closing so many stores? The short answer, because it's no longer a surefire cash cow. One major culprit is the rise of online retail giants like Amazon. Remember when you had to physically go to a store to buy things? Now you can order practically anything with a few taps on your phone and have it delivered to your doorstep before you can say 2-day shipping. Medication is no exception. Amazon has been aggressively expanding its pharmacy services, offering prescription delivery and deep discounts that traditional pharmacies struggle to match. This is putting immense pressure on Walgreens' bottom line as customers increasingly opt for the convenience and affordability of online options. It's the classic tale of disruption. The old way of doing things, in this case physically going to a pharmacy, is being challenged by new, more convenient alternatives. And as with any disruption, there will be winners and losers. Unfortunately, right now it seems like traditional pharmacies are on track to be the latter. Not just Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid joined the shrinking pharmacy club. Here's a newsflash. It's not just Walgreens feeling the heat. The pharmacy industry is undergoing a seismic shift, and it's affecting more than just one player. The entire pharmacy industry is in the midst of a major shakeup. Pharmacies that once seemed like permanent fixtures in our communities are now facing uncertain futures. CVS, another drugstore giant, has also announced plans to close hundreds of stores in the coming years. This move is part of a broader strategy to streamline operations and focus on more profitable locations. Even Rite Aid, the scrappy underdog of the pharmacy world, hasn't been immune. Despite their efforts to stay competitive, they too are feeling the pressure. They've been closing stores and selling off assets in an attempt to stay afloat. The closures are a clear sign of the financial strain they're under. But the writing's on the wall. The days of pharmacies being as ubiquitous as Starbucks seem to be numbered. The landscape is changing and not in favor of traditional brick-and-mortar stores. This widespread downsizing points to deeper systemic issues plaguing the industry. It's not just about closing stores. It's about a fundamental shift in how pharmacies operate and serve their customers. It's not just about online competition. While online pharmacies have certainly disrupted the market, there are other significant factors at play. There are other factors at play, such as declining reimbursement rates from insurance companies, rising drug prices, and the increasing cost of doing business. Additionally, there's increasing competition from grocery stores and big-box retailers that now have pharmacy counters. These stores offer convenience and competitive pricing, drawing customers away from traditional pharmacies. The pharmacy landscape is becoming increasingly competitive and complex. Pharmacies are no longer just places to pick up prescriptions. They are evolving into health and wellness hubs. Traditional chains like Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid are caught in a perfect storm of challenges that are forcing them to rethink their entire business model. They must innovate to stay relevant in a rapidly changing market. The question is, can they adapt fast enough to survive? The future of these pharmacy giants depends on their ability to pivot and meet the evolving needs of their customers. Only time will tell if they can weather the storm and emerge stronger. Hitting where it hurts, pharmacy closures and the vulnerable. Now let's talk about the real-world consequences of all these pharmacy closures. The impact is far-reaching and deeply felt across various communities. Sure, it's inconvenient for those of us used to having a Walgreens on every corner. We might grumble about having to drive a bit further or wait a little longer for our prescriptions, but for certain segments of the population, it's far more than just an inconvenience. It's a significant disruption to their daily lives and well-being. It's a full-blown healthcare crisis in the making. Elderly patients, those with chronic illnesses, people with disabilities, and individuals without reliable transportation rely heavily on local pharmacies for their medication needs. These pharmacies are not just stores, they are lifelines. These are the folks who are hit hardest when a pharmacy shuts down, leaving them stranded and struggling to access essential medications. The closure of a pharmacy can mean the difference between managing a condition effectively and facing severe health complications. Imagine being an 80-year-old grandmother who relies on daily medication to manage her heart condition. The local pharmacy, your lifeline to good health, just closed down. Now you face the daunting prospect of traveling miles, navigating public transportation, or relying on others to get your medication. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a major hurdle that can have serious health implications. For many elderly individuals, the physical and financial burden of traveling long distances to find an open pharmacy is overwhelming. They may have to depend on family members or friends who might not always be available to help. This isn't just inconvenient, it's potentially life-threatening. Missing doses of critical medication can lead to hospitalizations or worse. This is the reality for countless Americans as pharmacies disappear from their communities. The loss of these essential services creates healthcare deserts where access to necessary medications becomes a significant challenge. It's a stark reminder that access to healthcare, even something as basic as picking up a prescription, is not a given. It's a privilege that is increasingly out of reach for many. The closure of pharmacies highlights the broader issues of healthcare accessibility and equity. As we move forward, it's crucial to address these disparities and find solutions to ensure that everyone, regardless of their circumstances, has access to the medications they need. The health and well-being of our most vulnerable populations depend on it.